When was the last time you actually focused on something without grabbing your damn phone every 5 minutes? Seriously, think about it. When was the last time you sat down to do something important? Work, study, build something, fix your life, and your brain didn't immediately whisper, "Check your phone, just for a second." 1 second turns into 5 minutes. 5 minutes turns into 20. 20 minutes turns into an entire night that disappears into nothing. And then you sit there, staring at the clock, wondering where the hell the time went. You tell yourself you're tired. You tell yourself you're busy. You tell yourself life is stressful. But deep down, you know something else is happening. Your brain is fried. Your focus is shattered. And nobody told you it was going to happen like this. See, people think they can't focus because they're lazy. That's the lie. You're not lazy. You're addicted. Not to drugs, not to alcohol. You're addicted to dopamine hits every 30 seconds. Your phone, short videos, notifications, messages, scrolling, endless damn scrolling. Your brain has been trained like a dog. Every swipe, reward. Every notification, reward. Every video, reward. Dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. And now when you try to sit down and do something real, something that actually matters, your brain panics. Because real work is slow. Real work is quiet. Real work doesn't give you a reward every 10 seconds. So your brain starts screaming, "Bored. This is hard. Check your phone. Open another tab. Watch one video." Just one. But you already know how that story ends. 3 hours later, you're still sitting there doing absolutely nothing that moves your life forward. And the worst part? You feel it. That quiet voice in the back of your mind, the one that whispers, "You're wasting your life." But instead of facing that voice, you scroll again. Because scrolling numbs the feeling. Scrolling makes you forget. Scrolling is the modern version of hiding from your own damn potential. Look around for a second. People aren't just distracted anymore. They're mentally weak. Attention spans destroyed. Patience gone. Discipline dead. People can binge watch an entire season of a show, but they can't read 10 pages of a book. They can scroll for 4 hours straight, but they can't focus on building their future for 30 minutes. And here's the brutal truth nobody wants to say out loud. This isn't an accident. The world is designed to keep you distracted. Your phone? Designed to hijack your brain. Social media? Engineered to keep you scrolling. Every notification, every algorithm, every endless feed. They're fighting for one thing: your attention. And right now, you're losing that fight. Badly. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow." Every time you say, "Just one more video." Every time you say, "I don't feel like it today." You're not just wasting time. You're slowly training your brain to become weak. And weakness is dangerous. Because once your mind gets used to comfort, it starts avoiding anything difficult. And the moment that happens, your dreams start dying quietly. Not in some dramatic failure, not in some big disaster. No, they die slowly, buried under thousands of hours of mindless scrolling, buried under comfort, buried under distraction. And one day you wake up, 5 years later, still in the same place, still telling yourself, "Next month I'll change." But here's the reality most people never face. If you can't control your attention, you can't control your life. Because attention is the steering wheel of your future. Where your focus goes, your life follows. Right now, most people handed that steering wheel to their phone, and the phone is driving their life straight into mediocrity. But something inside you already knows this. That uncomfortable feeling you get after wasting hours online. That heavy silence when you realize the day is gone.
That voice in your head saying, "What the hell are you doing with your life?" That voice isn't your enemy. That voice is the last piece of your discipline trying to wake you the hell up. Because the real problem isn't your phone. The real problem is what your brain has become. And fixing that is going to hurt.
You know what's crazy? Most people still believe their lack of focus is just a small problem. They say things like, I just need a little motivation. I just need to manage my time better. I just need to watch one more productivity video. Bullshit. You don't have a motivation problem. You have a discipline collapse. Your brain has been living on comfort for so long that the moment something feels slightly difficult, it runs. Runs to the phone, runs to the couch, runs to anything that doesn't require effort. And the scariest part? You didn't even notice it happening. It happened slowly. At first, it was harmless. You checked your phone when you were bored. Then you started checking it when work got difficult. Then you started checking it every few minutes. Now, your brain can't even sit still for 10 damn minutes without looking for a dopamine hit. That's not normal, but it's become normal for everyone. Look around. People wake up and the first thing they do is grab their phone. Not drink water, not stretch, not think about their goals. No, they immediately dive into a flood of notifications, videos, opinions, drama, and useless information before their brain even wakes up, before their mind has a chance to think. They hand their attention away, and the day hasn't even started yet. You want to know why you can't focus anymore? Because your brain never gets silence, never gets boredom, never gets space to think. Every empty moment gets filled with noise. Waiting in line? Scroll. Eating food? Scroll. Walking somewhere? Scroll. Sitting in silence? Hell no. Scroll. People are terrified of being alone with their own thoughts, because the moment the noise stops, reality shows up. And reality asks uncomfortable questions. Why are you still stuck? Why haven't you started the thing you said you would? Why are you wasting your damn life? That's why distraction is so powerful. It protects you from facing the truth. But here's the thing nobody wants to hear. Your brain isn't stupid. It knows when you're lying to yourself. Every time you promise you'll start working and then open another app instead, a small piece of your self-respect dies. Every time you say, just 5 more minutes, and those 5 minutes turn into an hour, your brain learns something dangerous. It learns that your word means nothing. And once that happens, discipline starts collapsing. Because discipline is built on one simple rule. You do what you said you were going to. That's it. No drama, no motivation speech, just a simple agreement between you and yourself. But if you break that agreement every day, your brain stops trusting you. Think about that for a second. You don't trust yourself anymore. That's why you can't focus. Because when you sit down to work, your brain already knows what's about to happen. You'll try for 5 minutes, then you'll get uncomfortable. Then you'll look for distraction. And eventually, you'll quit. Your brain has watched this pattern happen hundreds of times, so now it expects it. And expectations become habits. Habits become identity. Now you walk around saying things like, I just have a short attention span. I'm not good at focusing. I can't stay disciplined. No, that's not your personality. That's your training. You trained your brain to escape difficulty. You trained it to chase dopamine. You trained it to avoid effort. And now it's doing exactly what it was trained to do. But here's the brutal truth nobody wants to hear. If you don't fix this, your life will slowly shrink. Your potential will shrink. Your confidence will shrink. Because the world rewards one thing more than anything else: focus. The people who build companies, focus. The people who master skills, focus. The people who change their lives, focus. Not talent, not luck, focus. And right now,
Most people are completely incapable of it. They want success, but they can't sit with discomfort for 30 minutes. They want a better life, but they can't stop scrolling long enough to build one. And if you're honest with yourself, you know you've been stuck in that trap too. Hours gone, days wasted, weeks disappearing into nothing. But here's where things get uncomfortable. Because once you see the problem, you can't unsee it. Once you realize how much time you've been wasting, every scroll starts feeling different. Every distraction starts feeling heavier. Every wasted hour starts whispering the same question in your head. What the hell are you doing? And eventually, that question turns into something bigger, something harder to ignore. Because deep down, you already know the truth. The problem isn't your phone. The problem isn't social media. The problem is that you've been choosing comfort over your future, over and over again. And the moment you finally admit that, everything starts to change. But change isn't comfortable, not even close, because the next step is where most people quit.
Here's the part nobody likes to hear. Fixing your focus is going to feel like hell at first. Not a little uncomfortable. I mean mentally painful. Because the moment you try to take your attention back, your brain starts fighting you. You sit down to work. 2 minutes later, your mind starts itching. You feel restless. You feel bored. You feel like you're trapped in silence. And suddenly, your brain whispers, check your phone. Just for a second. Maybe someone messaged you. Maybe something important happened. No, nothing happened. Your brain is just panicking because you removed the constant dopamine drip it's been addicted to. Think about it like this. For years, your brain has been eating junk food, fast dopamine, instant stimulation, endless entertainment. Now, suddenly, you're forcing it to eat vegetables, hard work, silence, focus, delayed rewards. Of course it's going to fight you. Of course it's going to complain. That's withdrawal. Not from drugs, from easy stimulation. And most people fail right here because the discomfort scares them. They sit down to work, 5 minutes pass, their brain starts screaming, "This sucks, I can't focus, this is boring." So they quit. They grab the phone, open social media, and instantly the discomfort disappears. Dopamine hit, relief. But every time you do that, you make the problem worse. You reinforce the escape. You train your brain to believe that difficulty equals danger, so it avoids it even faster next time. That's how people become mentally weak without even realizing it. They slowly lose the ability to tolerate boredom. They lose the ability to push through resistance. They lose the ability to stay with something long enough to get good at it. And once that ability disappears, life becomes very small. Because everything meaningful requires focus. Learning a skill, building a business, getting in shape, reading books, thinking deeply, creating something. None of these things happen in 30 seconds. They require hours, sometimes years. But a brain addicted to instant dopamine can't handle that timeline. It wants results now, entertainment now, relief now. So instead of building something real, people live inside endless distraction, and then they wonder why their life feels empty. Here's a brutal question. If someone secretly recorded your screen time for the last year, every scroll, every video, every hour lost online, would you be proud of it? Or would you feel embarrassed? Because most people don't realize the math. 3 hours of scrolling a day? That's over 1,000 hours a year. 1,000. Imagine what could happen if that time went somewhere else, learning something valuable, building something meaningful, improving your body, strengthening your mind. But instead, it disappears into content you barely remember, videos that mean nothing, posts you forget in 5 minutes, information that doesn't change your life, just noise. And the worst part, the platforms love it. They want you tired. They want you distracted. They want you emotionally hooked. Because the longer you stay there, the more money they make.
Your attention is the product. You are the product. And right now, millions of people are handing their attention away like it's worthless. But attention is the most valuable currency you have, because whatever you focus on, you become. Focus on negativity long enough, you become bitter. Focus on comfort long enough, you become weak. Focus on distraction long enough, you become lost. But focus on growth, focus on discipline, on building something, your entire life starts shifting. That's the power of attention. It quietly shapes who you become. And most people have completely lost control of it. Not because they're stupid, not because they're incapable, but because nobody ever warned them how dangerous constant distraction could be. It looks harmless, just a few minutes on your phone, just one more video, just one more scroll. But those small moments slowly rewire your brain until one day you sit down to do something important and realize you can't even stay focused long enough to start. That's the moment most people panic. They start thinking something's wrong with them. They think they're broken. They think they lack intelligence. They think they lack talent. But the truth is simpler than that. Your brain isn't broken. It's just out of control. And the only way to take control back is to do something most people refuse to do. Something uncomfortable, something boring, something brutally simple. You have to relearn how to sit with difficulty. No distraction, no escape, just you and the work.
Now here's where things get real. Because the solution to your focus problem isn't some fancy productivity system. It's not another damn app. It's not a new planner. And it's definitely not watching 20 more how to focus videos. The solution is much more brutal than that. You have to retrain your brain. And retraining your brain starts with something most people can't tolerate anymore. Boredom. Yeah, boredom. That quiet moment when nothing is happening. No screen, no scrolling, no stimulation, just you, sitting there. Most people can't handle that anymore. The moment boredom shows up, they panic. They reach for their phone like it's oxygen. But boredom used to be normal. People used to sit with their thoughts, think, reflect, plan, imagine. Now, the moment the brain feels empty space, it runs, because the brain has been conditioned to expect constant entertainment. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Boredom is the doorway to focus. When your brain stops getting flooded with dopamine every few seconds, something interesting starts to happen. At first, it feels awful. Restlessness, irritation. Your brain keeps looking for stimulation. But if you don't give in, your mind slowly starts settling down. It's like muddy water in a glass. When you keep shaking it, it stays cloudy. But when you leave it alone, the mud sinks, the water clears. Your mind works the same way. Constant stimulation keeps it chaotic. Silence clears it. And once that chaos settles, focus starts coming back. But here's the catch. It takes time. And most people quit way too early. They try to work without distraction for 10 minutes, feel uncomfortable, then say, "See, I can't focus." No, you didn't fail. Your brain is just detoxing. Imagine someone who eats junk food every day suddenly trying to eat healthy. The first week feels terrible. Cravings, irritation, low energy. But that doesn't mean healthy food is the problem. It means the body is adjusting. Your brain is doing the same thing. It's adjusting to the loss of easy dopamine. And during that adjustment, everything feels harder. Reading feels harder. Thinking feels harder. Working feels harder. But if you push through that phase, something powerful starts happening. Your attention gets stronger, slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. You begin noticing something strange. You can sit longer. You can think deeper. You can actually finish things. Not because you suddenly became super motivated, but because your brain stopped chasing constant stimulation. And that changes everything. Because once you regain your focus, you regain something even more powerful. Control. Control over your time. Control over your attention. Control over what direction your life moves.
Most people don't have that. They wake up and immediately get pulled into whatever the world throws at them. Notifications, messages, news, drama, other people's problems, other people's opinions. Their attention gets hijacked before they even realize it. And by the end of the day, they're mentally exhausted. But they didn't build anything. They didn't move forward. They didn't grow. They just reacted all day. Reaction is the enemy of focus. If your attention is constantly reacting to the world, you never create anything of your own. You just drift. And drifting leads to one destination: average. An average life, average results, average income, average mindset. Not because you're incapable of more, but because you never controlled your attention long enough to build something greater. But here's the good news. Focus is a skill, not a personality trait, not a talent, a skill. And skills can be rebuilt. Even if your attention span feels destroyed right now, even if your brain feels addicted to distraction, you can rebuild it. But it requires something rare: discomfort. You're going to have to sit through the urge to check your phone. You're going to have to tolerate boredom. You're going to have to stay with difficult work even when your brain screams to escape. That's the price. There's no shortcut around it. But the reward on the other side, it's massive. Because once you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your future. And suddenly the question isn't, why can't I focus? The real question becomes, what the hell could my life look like if I finally did?
Let's be honest about something. Your life is not falling apart because you lack intelligence. It's not because you didn't get lucky. It's not because the world is unfair. Your life feels stuck because your attention is scattered everywhere. You're trying to build a future with a mind that jumps every 30 seconds. Think about how insane that is. Imagine trying to build a house, but every 2 minutes you walk away from the tools. You hammer one nail, leave, come back later, hammer another, leave again. How long would that house take to finish? Years? Maybe never. That's exactly how most people are building their lives right now. Start something, get distracted, start again, get distracted, repeat, day after day, month after month, year after year. And then they look at successful people and say, damn, they're lucky. Lucky? No, they just stayed focused long enough to finish what they started. That's it. There's nothing magical about it. They protected their attention like it was gold, because it is. Your attention decides where your energy goes, and your energy decides what gets built in your life. Right now, your attention is leaking everywhere. Social media, random videos, endless opinions from strangers, drama that has nothing to do with your life. You're mentally exhausted by things that don't even matter. And by the time you finally try to work on your own goals, you're already drained. That's why you tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow comes with the same distractions, the same habits, the same patterns, and nothing changes. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Nobody is coming to save your focus. No app will fix it. No motivational video will magically discipline you. No productivity hack will suddenly make you unstoppable. At some point, you have to decide, do I keep living distracted or do I take control? Because once you see how much time you've been losing, you start realizing something terrifying. Time is not slow. It's fast as hell. 1 year disappears before you even notice. 5 years? Gone. 10 years? Gone. And most people spend those years in the same loop. Wake up, scroll, work a little, scroll again, waste the evening, promise to change tomorrow, repeat over and over, until suddenly they're older, still in the same place, still saying, I wish I had started earlier. But you're not there yet. You're here, right now, which means something powerful is still possible. You can break the pattern. But breaking the pattern requires something brutal. You have to stop negotiating with your own weakness. No more just one more video.
No more, "I'll start later." No more, "I'm not in the mood." Screw the mood. Mood is unreliable. Mood changes every hour. Discipline doesn't care about mood. Discipline shows up anyway. When you're tired, when you're bored, when you'd rather do anything else. That's the difference between people who stay stuck and people who change their lives. One group waits to feel ready. The other group starts even when they feel like hell. And here's the crazy part. The moment you start doing that, your brain slowly begins respecting you again. Remember earlier when we talked about self-trust? Every time you break a promise to yourself, that trust weakens. But every time you keep your word, even in small ways, something changes. You say you'll work for 30 minutes, and you actually do it. No phone, no distraction, just work. That single moment might seem small, but it sends a powerful signal to your brain. I keep my word. Do that enough times, and your identity begins shifting. You're no longer the person who quits after 5 minutes. You become the person who stays, who finishes, who pushes through the discomfort. And that identity is dangerous in the best possible way. Because once you become someone who can focus, the world opens up. Skills get built faster. Opportunities appear. Confidence grows. Not fake confidence, real confidence. The kind that comes from knowing you can sit down, do the work, and finish what you started. That's when your life begins moving in a completely different direction. But first, you have to make a decision most people avoid their entire lives. You have to stop running from difficulty and finally face it head on.
Here's the moment where everything becomes simple. Not easy, but simple. You've spent years letting your attention get hijacked. Your phone pulled you one way, notifications pulled you another. Comfort whispered in your ear every time things got difficult, and little by little, your focus disappeared. Not overnight, but slowly, one scroll at a time, one distraction at a time, one "I'll start tomorrow" at a time. Now you're here, looking at your own habits and realizing something uncomfortable. You didn't lose control of your life in one big mistake. You lost it in tiny daily decisions. And that should scare you. Because if small decisions can slowly destroy your focus, then small decisions can rebuild it too. That's the part most people ignore. They think transformation has to be dramatic. Wake up at 4 a.m., change everything overnight, become a completely different person. Screw that. Real change is quieter than that. It's smaller, but it's relentless. It starts with something ridiculously simple. You sit down to work and you don't touch your phone. Not for 10 seconds, not for 5 minutes, for as long as you promised yourself. That's it. It sounds stupidly simple, but if you're honest with yourself, you know how hard that actually is. Because your brain will start screaming, check it. Maybe someone texted you. Maybe you're missing something. No, you're not missing anything. What you're missing is your life slipping away while you stare at a screen. That's what you've been missing. And once you realize that, the game changes. Because focus isn't about forcing yourself to work harder. It's about protecting your attention like it's the most valuable thing you own. Because it is. Your attention decides what kind of life you build. If you give it to distractions, you build nothing. If you give it to comfort, you stay weak. But if you give it to growth, something powerful starts happening. Your mind sharpens, your discipline strengthens, your confidence grows, and slowly, you become the kind of person who actually follows through. That's rare, extremely rare. Because most people never wake up. They stay distracted forever. They stay comfortable forever. They stay average forever. And they convince themselves that's normal. But deep down, you know average isn't what you want. You don't want to look back 10 years from now and realize you spent thousands of hours staring at meaningless content. You don't want to wonder what your life could have been if you had just focused.
That regret is heavy. Heavier than the discomfort of discipline. Heavier than the boredom of working. Heavier than the effort required to change. Regret sticks with you for years. And the truth is brutal. Most people will feel that regret because they never made the decision you're capable of making right now. A decision that sounds small, but changes everything. You decide that your attention belongs to you, not your phone, not social media, not the endless noise of the world. You take the steering wheel of your mind back, and the moment that happens, your life starts moving in a different direction. Slow at first, almost invisible, but powerful. Because every day you protect your attention, you build something most people lost a long time ago. Mental strength. And mental strength changes everything. It changes what you believe is possible. It changes what you're capable of building. It changes the way you see yourself. You stop seeing someone who struggles to focus. You start seeing someone who does the work. Even when it's boring, even when it's difficult, even when nobody's watching. That's when the real turning point happens. Not when life suddenly gets easier, but when you finally decide you're done wasting it.